Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited to have Howard back with us again. We had such a great time in 2020, and now he is back helping us with our finances. You know, all those bills that you accumulated over the holiday. Well, it's okay. We have a strategy for how you can get back into good standing after the holiday. So Howard is here to discuss that with us today. But before we get into that, we want him to introduce himself so we can find out a little bit more about him. And
Uh-huh.
happy New Year to you, Howard.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So we haven't talked in a little while, so it's always fun to catch up with you. And thanks for having me back on. I always like
Mhm.
to chat with you in whatever format we're
Oh,
happen to be in. So that's really good. Yeah, so I'm Howard Gershman. I work with Primerica Financial Services, and Primerica has been around since the late '70s. The idea is really to help regular, middle class, everyday kinds of people get their financial act together. Frankly, make sure they're on the right path to whatever their financial goals are, and kind of move forward and help their families out. That's kind of where we're coming from.
awesome. And
I live in Hudson Valley area, a little north of New York City. Okay.
yeah. Now, so, finance is always a topic that, everybody wants to make the money, but they don't want to talk about money management, how they can, change their money story a lot of times when it
Mhm.
comes to being in debt and things like that. So, what was it that really prompted you to get into this industry? Because it's sometimes a hard subject to bring up.
Yeah. For me, I actually had another business that wasn't going very far, frankly, and I was looking for something else to do that was a little more steady. My other business was really very seasonal. And so in the season, it was okay, you're making lots of money, having more expenses, but then in the off season, you're like now what am I going to do? So I was actually looking for something else that was more steady and could fit my personality a little bit better. So I like helping people out and working with them. So this was really a good fit, and it also taught me in learning about Primerica and the concepts that we teach is not taught in schools. So I didn't have the financial education that everybody should have. I mean, it wasn't even offered, frankly. So
Mhm.
there was no option for me. But here was a way where I could help people in a real basic way that a lot of people really need and are looking for. So that's how kind of I got started, and now yeah, moving forward, we got tons of clients all over the country, helping people out every day. So it really works out good. Actually.
Yeah, so for people, how do you even bring that subject up? I mean, a lot of people want to talk about, oh, I want to hear your plan on how to get rich,
Hmm.
but you're bringing up, things that people just kind of want to be in denial about.
Mm,
A lot of people don't want to have a budget. They just want to spend, they just don't want to kind of do the disciplines or the consistent actions to change their money around. So how do you start that conversation?
well, I talk about education and kind of bring the education part up initially, so without prying or getting involved in the session. So, did you have any kind of financial literacy, financial education course in high school? And of course, everybody says no. Right. So the other piece I say is if you're in trouble, I'm not kind of hypothetical, if people have made mistakes, even they admit I made mistakes with my money, doing this, doing that. Um, you can't really blame yourself or beat yourself up about it if nobody taught you what to do in the first place. But at least, okay, now we recognize we have an issue, and let's move forward from here. That's
Yeah,
really the move forward.
I like that.
Yeah.
So that's a great approach because, a lot of us have messed up over the holiday.
What do you mean us? Now tell me
Okay, it's like, oh, I'm sticking to this budget. I'm only buying for
it's
X.
tough.
And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now it's like, oh, I haven't seen this person because of COVID. And so now I just want to get them something and all this. So we've, gone
Snowballs very
forward.
fast. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are some things that we do wrong when it comes to trying to get our
Oh,
money
so
back
so
together?
so
Yeah.
good question. So I just Googled hey, how do I pay off my holiday bills? Yeah, how do I pay off my
Okay.
credit card? I thought that was, if somebody has an issue and feel, I got some extra credit card debt now through the holidays. What should I do with that? So what's the natural thing to do now, right? Is Google,
Mhm.
how do I pay off my holiday debt? Well, the first one on the top was a very well-known news source. You would think they're
Okay.
fairly credible. And here's the three things you should do. Okay, that sounds pretty simple, right?
Mhm.
The first one is move your credit card debt to a 0% card. So I said, well, in theory, I suppose that's okay, but that doesn't really solve the problem. All you've done is move your debt from one thing to another.
Mhm.
If you have poor credit initially anyway, nobody's going to give you more credit. Sometimes they will.
Mhm.
But what the effect of that is, you've moved your debt from one place to another, and maybe you'll pay less interest for now. But now you have an empty credit card. If you don't change your spending habits and the way you think about your money, you're just going to rack that other one right back up. And now you're in worse shape than you were before. So that's kind of a dumb idea, right? Right. Okay.
Mhm.
The next one is the next one on this website. Go to the bank and get a personal loan. If, if, if you have lousy credit, bank's not going to give you any money. I mean, like, really,
Right.
what kind of advice is that, right? And then the last one, which I thought was the craziest of all, is go ask your friends and family to borrow some money. I said, what? Your friends and family know you better than anybody, and they're probably in worse shape than you are, and you're expecting them to give you money. I said, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Mhm.
So, frankly, this is what people would see,
Mhm.
and then if they actually try one of these things and it doesn't work, they say, well, I'm just going to die with all this debt. I mean, they're, they're certainly not giving you any hope of what to do and any real strategy of what to move forward. So,
Mhm.
so
I
here's,
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a couple of tips for people to kind of do this. And the first one is the hardest, frankly, is
Mhm.
make a decision to actually do it. You know, so people make New Year's resolutions,
Mhm.
right, about all kinds of stuff. Exercise and eat right, and money is a big resolution. Well,
Mhm.
you have an advantage now because most people who made that resolution to get their financial act together in the new year already broke it. So you haven't made it yet, so you haven't broke it yet. So you can start off right. It's the way to look at that. Right?
I like
So
that.
get your yeah, decide to do it. Now,
Mhm.
now what? So now is first you got to know where you stand. So if you're going on a trip and you plug your thing into your destination into your GPS, what's
Mhm.
the first thing it does? It figures out where you are and then puts in the step by step to get where you want to go. Well, this is the way to think about your finances. You got to know where you stand. And the way to do that is to keep track of everything you spend,
Mhm.
not just the rent and the electric and the whatever those kind of things that don't change. But what's harder to do is the things that do change. Right? So, how many times you go out for pizza every week or go to the grocery store? When I do budgets with people, I hate to call it word budget, frankly, but well,
Mhm.
I'll tell you in a minute. But when I do those and help people out with those, they know fix things that happen pretty regularly. People kind of know that stuff. But the
Mhm.
stuff you don't know, if you go to the grocery store maybe 2, 3 times a week, however often you go, you have no clue what you're spending after a while. It all just kind of blends together. And if you're getting pizza or Chinese food, one night a week, what does that cost? And that kind of stuff adds up real fast, and you don't realize the amount of money you're spending. I'm not saying don't eat, but be a little more mindful about what you're spending money on. That so that
Mhm.
and just the fact of keeping track of where the money is going is an eye opener to a lot of people.
Mhm.
I often hear, I had no idea I was spending that much money, and then they realize it's, probably not the best idea. That alone is a big thing.
I
So
like that.
that's
Yeah.
that's one thing. Got to know where you stand.
Yeah.
Uh, right there's a strategy actually we call debt stacking. So let's
Okay.
move right. So this is now beyond the budget. We know where you stand, and that's
Mhm.
that's good. Uh,
Mhm.
Debt stacking is a strategy where you list all your debts. Just make a big list. Hopefully it's not too big a list, but the idea is you make a list and include the balance. What do you owe? Whether it's a credit card or a car loan or a mortgage, whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. You make the list. Here's what you owe. Here's the minimum payment, right? And here's the interest rate, that
Mhm.
you're paying on that. And
Mhm.
the idea is to take the one with the smallest balance. And, frankly, if the interest rate doesn't really matter as much in doing the calculation, but the idea is to put them in order of balance with the
Mhm.
smallest balance first, right?
Okay.
So, and then you go, whatever it is, maybe it's a credit card, maybe it's the car loan, then maybe it's the mortgage, in order of balance.
Mhm.
And the idea is to pay as much as you can, if you can pay more than the minimum. And I figured this out with people, so it's easier to describe in real numbers. But take the one with the smallest balance, add as much as you can as an extra payment on it, and because it's the smallest balance, it gets paid off first,
Mhm.
right? So now that amount that you were paying on that first one, add that as an additional payment to the next one in the list. You still keep paying the other ones, you know, but if you add it to the next one in the list, then you're accelerating that second one.
Mhm.
But overall, you're paying the same dollars every month.
Mhm.
So that's how that works. Now, by following that plan, when one's paid off, you go to the next, add it to the next. And then when that's paid off, now you've got two payments you're adding to the third. So
Mhm.
as you do that, it accelerates all the payments and you'll come
Mhm.
out way ahead in the end.
Mhm.
Way ahead
I
in the end.
love that.
And we have a whole system that we can help people with and plug in their numbers. And not only does it tell them what to pay and when to pay it, but it says if you follow this plan, I mean, this is the way it works. If you, it's not magic. It's just math. If you
Right?
follow this plan, you'll be out of debt on this day.
Oh.
So, and
Okay.
a lot of times it's way sooner than they ever really expected. That the challenge is don't add any more debts.
That's what I was getting ready to
Yeah.
ask.
So that's where the budget stuff comes in. And I like to, I don't know about you, but you think about the word budget. It sounds
Mhm.
like diet. It's like a restrictive
Mhm.
kind of a word, right? But
Mhm.
I like to call it a spending plan. You
Mhm.
right? Nobody likes to diet. Everybody likes to eat, right? No,
Right.
nobody likes to budget. Everybody likes to spend. So
Mhm.
change that kind of mindset around that.
Mhm.
around that.
Mhm.
So keep track of that stuff. And I think the next fun tip that we can kind of do is to get
Mhm.
help. Tell a
Mhm.
friend.
Mhm.
Go with a friend, somebody that you trust, and say, "Hey, I want to do this. Let's do it together." You know,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
then now it may be you may feel a little vulnerable at first, but you have to kind of come out there, somebody you can trust, right? And you'd be surprised how often the other person will say, "Oh, I really wish I would like to do this too," because
Mhm.
everybody's in the same boat. You know,
Mhm.
generally the people you hang out with are just like you. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you wouldn't hang out with them in the first place. So
Yeah.
if you have credit card issues, it's likely they have credit card issues too. You
Mhm.
know? So, but if the two of you can work together, not only are you kind of accountable to each other, like
Mhm.
if you're trying to keep track of your finances and nobody is asking you, "Hey, did you write down that thing you spent today?" Then if you miss it, then nobody knows. Who cares?
Mhm.
But if somebody else is keeping track or just questioning every once in a while, and the two of you are questioning each other, it kind of feeds on itself, and you have it's a great way for people to get together, hold each
Mhm.
other accountable, and you can share those experiences and encourage each other too
Mhm.
to do
Yeah,
that.
that's good. Now,
And
so I loved how you mentioned a spending plan because that is good for us to really kind of address the issues that we're dealing with without, having that word that we just want to avoid and
that's right,
bury it and be in denial. But
right.
so you mentioned, this is the plan that we could have when it comes to debt stacking and how to.
Hmm.
create that snowball effect, so to
Yep.
speak, with paying off the debt. Now, what are some things that we should be working on for our mindset about how we look at money from where we are so that we don't keep on making the same mistakes of getting into more debt?
One
So, what are some ways that we should be? Yeah.
one of the things that I tell people now, I understand that this is it's not complicated, but it's
Mhm.
tedious, and you're because it's a lot of numbers, and if people's mindset isn't around numbers, sometimes it's hard. And basically, you're creating a new habit. So there's
Right.
all kinds of statistics about how long it takes to create a habit, but
Mhm.
uh, you sort of got to be committed to it. But one of the ways to do it, to make it a little easier, is to kind of do baby steps and
Mhm.
to say, uh, I tell you, I don't know that anybody's ever done this, but I've suggested this a million times. Is
Mhm.
on uh, Sunday night, say just or Monday morning, something like that.
Okay.
Put a piece of paper in your pocket,
Okay.
and whenever you have to buy something, whether
Mhm.
it's the coffee at Dunkin' Donuts or the groceries or the mortgage, whatever you write it down and
Okay.
just write it down, put it back in your pocket.
Mhm.
And by the end of the week now, you've got a list of what you're spending your money on. The
Mhm.
other thing is, as you're spending the money, whatever it is, you used to think to yourself, and you can write it right on the top of the page before you put it in your pocket. Right? Do I have to spend this money on this thing right now?
Mhm.
So you say, okay, I got to make the car payment. I mean, that's great, right? So okay, we write it down.
Mhm.
I have to put gas in the car. Okay,
Mhm.
otherwise I'm going to run out of gas. I mean, so there's certainly things you should spend money on, right?
Mhm.
But if you're, going to Dunkin' Donuts for the third time today, you know, do I have to spend, it's $2, $3, whatever it is on this thing?
Mhm.
And the whole point is to just hesitate and stop and think, and that alone can change your mindset.
I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, so that's the
Mhm.
and there was a client I had. This was just several years ago. He lived in kind of near us, but worked. He lived in New York, worked in New Jersey. It was a fairly long commute to where he had to go.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he talked about going to Starbucks and buying his breakfast and lunch at in the drive-through, at Starbucks. Got pretty much the same thing every day. It added up to like $100 a week of stuff, and
Mhm.
it was crazy what it was spent. And you do those things kind of without thinking after a while, because now that
Mhm.
becomes the habit, you know.
Mhm.
But if you can just stop for a second and think about what the effect is,
Mhm.
yeah, it makes a huge difference. Huge difference. And that's where you find the money to add to that first one in the list, that accelerated
Mhm.
that payment. That's where you
Mhm.
find it. Yeah, we often find ways for find money. I call it find money for people they don't even know they have,
Right.
just by
Yeah.
looking at it in a different way.
I like that. And
Yeah.
so, let's say that you want to make a purchase. What type of mindset should we have or practice should we have for making a purchase? Let's say that you want to get some furniture. What should be our idea behind, in order to practice good financial decisions around an idea to purchase something? What
Mm,
is there some kind of
I don't know that.
routine that we should
Yeah,
follow?
I don't know if there's any universal thing, but it
Mhm,
depends on kind of what it is. So you can think of those things as a financial goal.
mhm,
What's the goal, and
mhm,
what's it going to cost, and when do you want to
mhm,
do it? It's kind of the usual way you would think of setting a goal. I want to do
mhm,
this thing, at this time, and what do I need to do to get there? So if it's a large purchase, a
mhm,
car, a down payment for a house, so
mhm,
you set up a regular savings plan for that. If
mhm,
it's holiday spending, right? I thought you have a great system for your gigantic family to do, right? So, and it's the
mhm,
same kind of thing. Who am I going to spend money on? Who are the people? And I'm going to limit my spending for that person to whatever, 10,
mhm,
20, $50, whatever the kind of the number is,
mhm,
and stick to it. And stick to it.
mhm,
If somebody comes up out of the blue, if so, this has happened, this has happened to me, I think, where this is a long, I got to think about this story, but in any case, the idea is you receive a gift from somebody you didn't expect to
Oh,
get a gift,
yeah.
and now you feel obligated to give it back to them.
Mhm.
No, you don't. You know,
Mm-mm.
so that's a, there's the crazy things that sort of pop up,
I
or,
like that.
you know,
And another thing that I do is, with 9 daughters, I buy some things in bulk and then separate it out, for an individual gift. So, like I'm just using nail polish. You can get like a big thing of nail polish and give everybody one, and you've made one investment, but it
yep,
serves 9 people.
there
I'm
you
all
go.
about how we can spread it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
So that's another thing that people can consider, and homemade gifts.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and I mean, not just for the holidays, but thinking about that all year long. Right now, especially during COVID, that's a great way to kind of connect with people. You can create something that's related to the virus. Of course, this is something that we don't want to be thinking about all the time, but just some kind of souvenir or something that
Even like a
resonates.
dinner,
Yeah.
make some cookies or something, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be a thing. It can
Mhm.
just be a nice dinner you give to somebody too.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
makes it
Okay.
a lot more personal. There was also those gifts. What are they called? It's an online, basically an online service. You get a subscription to a,
Oh, yeah,
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 like a
subscription boxes.
box
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
as a
Mhm,
gift. So that it can be really tailored in lots of different ways, and it becomes real
mhm.
personalized and generally not ridiculously expensive to
Right.
you know
And you can make your own, so
and
that's
make
a
your
good
own
idea.
and do it the same way. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
So with 2021 here, what are some of your goals for 2021?
Good question. So I'm actually uh, reaching out to some people to work with. So we have a big need for people who work in our business, and because there's lots of people who are either in a mess or floundering, or people got laid off, or downsized, or whatever, really need to make some more money. So we're actively recruiting for people to work with. So I'm happy to talk to people kind of wherever, and we can sort of figure out how that works,
Mhm,
and helping more people out. So the way I look at it is, the more people I have on my financial advisor team,
mhm,
the more people they know more people, right? So
mhm,
the more people I have on my team, the more people we can actually help
mhm.
get their financial act together, and everybody wins.
I like that.
Everybody makes a little bit of money, and everybody lives happily ever after. That's
Yeah, great, great
Yep.
concept. So, one thing that I would kind of close in asking is a lot of us have these expenses that we feel like, oh, this is just non negotiable. This is something I have to have. Can you talk to us about what some of our needs versus our wants are? Because some
Mm,
people get into that, and it's like you can let that go temporarily or whatever for a period of time. But when you've been so used to spending things, you sometimes get clouded on what's a need versus a want. So,
yeah,
can you
yeah.
speak to that?
I get there are things, a lot of things that I've seen in other people's spending plans that they didn't even
Mhm,
realize. People sign up for a 30-day free trial of whatever the thing is, a cable TV station, Netflix or whatever it is, and then don't end up actually following through with whatever the thing is. It was a need. I'd say a lot of things come up as a need. You can think of it as, hey, I want to try this. It's free. What the heck. But maybe it really isn't a
okay,
need
looks like
anymore.
we are being
Oh,
challenged with the internet.
oh,
Okay.
okay,
So we were challenged there for a few minutes.
okay.
So if we could start from, you said you look at people's spending plans
Ah,
with the 30-day trial.
yeah,
That's all I heard. Okay.
right. So people, there's lots of things you can get online. 30-day free trial. You can
Mhm.
get, yeah, another cable station,
Mhm.
Netflix, Hulu, whatever those things are. They only cost a couple dollars. How bad could it be, right? Well,
Mhm.
after a while, you may not be using that station anymore. The software you bought as a 30-day free trial, you're not really using anymore, or it didn't seem to provide the value that you thought it would, but you never canceled it. So there's something that's important you can look at. Gym memberships. Gym memberships have a huge explosion in January, but the gym itself didn't get any bigger. Right? It's still the same size. So there's something to do, and there's lots of ways to exercise at home without all the equipment and all the other stuff to go along with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the gym thing because you're going from not working out at all. You're enamored with all the different places where you can work out, all the different things they've got there, the machines, and you're not even using them.
And you're not even going.
So, you talk yourself into stuff and you just don't have a routine.
And you got to create the routine and the habit.
Yes.
And baby steps, if you're going to do the gym membership, say, don't start with, I'm going every day. Because you can't go every day. I mean, that's like an unrealistic thing. But if you say, I'm going to go, all right, I'm going to go Tuesday, Friday or something, make a schedule, put it in your calendar. This is when I'm going. I don't care what anything else happens. And then you can kind of stick to it and move it forward a little bit.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, these are some of the things that, we want the benefits or the rewards from a particular thing, but we don't really practice the consistency every day in our daily routine.
Right.
So we have to learn how to marry those two.
You can see, everybody wants the success of people that they see, but they don't want to do what it took for that person to get where they are. Yeah.
So true.
And a lot of successful people say, who seemingly are overnight successes, certainly people in entertainment or sports or stuff like that. But they you hear this all the time, they readily admit it took them 10 years to become an overnight success.
Exactly. So true. Yeah. So what's the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
Oh, well, that's very, very easy, actually. I'll give my cell phone number is 845-531-9222.
Okay.
And my email is my name, howard.gershman@gmail. And I'm happy to do a budget analysis with viewers, kick them in the butt and make sure that, call them every day. Hey, did you write everything down yet? So I'm happy to coach people at whatever level they're at. And the more people we can help out, the better off everybody is.
Absolutely. So that is just a very generous offer. And, sometimes these money conversations, we gravitate to people that have problems with money and they can't help us get out of our situation.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, if you're listening today, to give Howard a call. It's not going to cost you anything. Yeah. And it can give you some insight into how you can improve your money story, your financial situation, and everything else that goes along with it.
Yep.
So what final words would you share with everybody today?
You can do it. As easy and as cliche, as that is, it's not rocket science. It's all it takes. It's the longest distance people have to go to accomplish a goal is 6 inches. Between here and here, right? And then you're there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this is some great words of wisdom, and I love the fact that we're just facing it. At the beginning of the year, sometimes people bury their head in the sand and it's like, oh, it's January 16th. But the reality is we want to take control of our money, finances right now, immediately. Right. We don't want to go through a year of gloom and doom or having guilt and shame around our money decisions. We want to be able to face those so we can move forward. So thank you so much for coming on and giving us all the nuggets of wisdom. I encourage the watchers that if you would reach out to Howard, he can give you some insight that might really give you an aha to really turn your situation around. Remember, it's baby steps, and it's being with someone who has the expertise that can help you get on the right road. You don't want to go down the road of thinking that you're getting your finances in order, but you're talking to the wrong person. So Howard has experience and he can help you move forward with the things that you desire. So thanks again for coming on today, Howard. And we want to thank you guys for watching and
Very good.
invite you to join us again on the
Very
next.
good. See you soon.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Have a great day.